Part of a first aid needs assessment is to look at all sorts of areas, and if you're looking at first aid kits, something else is worth looking at is, do I need an AED, an automated external defibrillator? Now, this is something you can have to assess in your workplace, and there's two sort of trains of thought with it. One is, do we actually need one? Bearing in mind an ambulance could get there fairly quick, but then again it may not. You may have a community AED locally, or maybe a company next door has got an AED. So you've got those sort of sides to consider, but also you've got the fact that you've got staff in the building. Is it the best to have one? Well, the answer to that is always going to be yes. However, these aren't cheap units, but they could save someone's life. So it's a very good thing to have an AED unit. It's very good to put it inside your business to show you've got one, so everyone who walks through the door can see it. But it's important to have it and people know actually where that AED unit is. So in separate film, we'll look at how to actually store one, but just briefly, you can put this in a cabinet outside your premises. You can put it inside. It may be you need multiple AED units if it's a very large site, but it needs to be somewhere where it's easily accessible, not locked away. It needs to be somewhere that's there. If it is locked away in a cabinet, use a proper AED cabinet and make sure that the relevant people know the code to get into it. So something like this is the iPad SP1 AED unit. There's lots of different brands on the market, but this is a unit which is good. You can use it in all sorts of different situations. It won't matter if it's a rainy day. Obviously, you try and keep things dry, but that won't cause any problems with it. So really, when you're looking at assessing whether I need to have an AED unit, even if before you do the assessments, if you can afford one, I would always say get one, because you just never know when you might need one. But you do need to look at sorts of things like the age of your workplace, the employees in the workplace, if you've got people in different ages. However, people going into cardiac arrest can happen at any age. So just because you've just employed youngsters, it may well be that they have cardiac problems as well. So the key rule with, do I need one? The sooner you can get a defibrillator onto a patient, the better. So really, CPR will just keep the body oxygenated with oxygen-rich blood. However, what that person needs is a defibrillator. So if we can get one of these on really, really quickly, then we've got a massive chance of survival, opposed to maybe waiting 8 minutes for an ambulance. It roughly drops about 10% per minute. So if you've got one in your workplace and you could get it on within a minute, for example, in theory, the person, as long as it's a shockable rhythm, one would work, then in theory, the person's got around about a 90% chance of survival. Now, that's getting the heart started. If there's a long-term problem, it may be, they go back into cardiac arrest. If you've got to wait for an ambulance on this 1 minute and 10% rule, they've got around about a 20% chance. So you do need to look at that. If you're a remote site, definitely recommend one. Even if you're in the middle of a city, virtually next door to a hospital or an ambulance station, it is really important that you try and get one. So, I can't give you the exact rules because there's not absolute guidance. There is talk now of making it that an AED should be within a 4 minute of any instance or any place on the work site. So, for example, if you're, a single building, single story, and quite small, one AED unit's fine. Maybe if you've got offices and you've got a warehouse next to it and a factory, then you may need multiple units within this sort of 4 minute rule. So pretty much 2 minutes to get there, 2 minutes to get back. It may be that you could, only part of your risk assessment, allow for a community one that might be on a pub or a local store nearby. It may be there's one on a second business. You can work that into your risk assessment. But generally speaking, the more AED units are available, the better. The more people know about where they are, the better. And we're really talking about people's lives here, so it's something that we really recommend you add on to your risk assessment. If you need more information on different types of AED units, what to use, or any more help on the planning or cabinets, we sell a whole range of AED units, so please get in touch with us.